Remember that the vocab questions aren't always about difficult vocabulary words. Sometimes it's much more about understanding the sentence. So here, the question itself is just asking us to fill in the blank. So we're going to go directly to the passage itself and just try to think about maybe one way that we might be able to fill in the blank intuitively, and then maybe we can use that to come up with the answers. But sometimes that's difficult, so let's take a look. Arturo A. Schomburg was dedicated to preserving books, art, and other materials from peoples of African descent around the world. To get these items, Schomburg blank friends and colleagues, I don't really know what would go there, whom he asked to bring back rare and valuable objects from their international travels. Now Schomburg's collection is a valuable resource for scholars of Black history and culture. So the reason this is such a difficult blank to fill is it's not really an adjective like we normally think of these vocab questions. It's a verb. What is he doing? Well, it's what's he doing in relation to these colleagues. So I actually would try to guess what's going on here. To get these items, I don't know, he kind of asked friends and colleagues for the items, which they do say later, he asked them. So I know that doesn't make a lot of sense in just like reading it. It sounds like it's missing something, but it's capturing the meaning in a way that copies something else from earlier or in this case, later in the passage. So we know that we're not really adding or subtracting anything from the meaning of that blank because we're purely just going on what's already in the passage. We need evidence of our answer choice. And so admired is a very positive word. Disagreed with is a very negative word, but we don't really have anything that strongly pulls us in those directions. Warned, obviously, also very, very negative, but depended on is, in my opinion, more neutral. It doesn't really have a strong connotation, but it is something that is supported by the rest of the passage. Now, we can prove this just by turning it almost into a question, right? So Schomburg depended on friends and colleagues. How do we know that he depended on them? Well, he asked them to bring back these rare and valuable objects. So we have something to kind of back that up. Whereas if we ask the same kind of question about the other choices, we would see that we don't really have evidence. Schomburg admired friends and colleagues. Well, why did he admire them? It doesn't say that they were particularly good friends or good colleagues, that they were skilled in any way, so we just don't have that evidence, right? So even if that kind of makes sense, maybe he does admire them for other reasons, we don't have any evidence that he admired them here in the passage where it needs to be. So the same thing with B. Schomburg disagreed with friends and colleagues. Why did he disagree with them? I don't know. They're bringing back objects. It's not like he's saying these are bad objects, so that doesn't make sense. And Schomburg warned friends and colleagues. Warn them of what? Warn them why? Is there some sort of danger? Is this like Indiana Jones bringing these things back? I don't think so. We have no evidence of that, right? So we're not allowed to kind of guess as to what this story could be saying. We have to stick with what it is saying. And yes, there will be sometimes multiple answers that could kind of like sound good in the blank, but we always need the one that has the path of least resistance between that word and the surrounding story. We just want it to fit in nicely, and if we need evidence to back it up, we want to be able to point to something in the lines, not something in our imaginations.